So I'm going to wait for one moment and actually wait for those questions to come in. And while I'm doing that, I'm actually going to dial in the space. I have this new way or quite ancient way of actually making sure I'm synchronized perfectly with the space that I'm in. And that's by looking deep into the numerology of each day of the week and the Enealogy, which is the system that we have been heralding over in ambassador training and over on the Secret Energy site, that we're actually going to be taking out of the alpha stage into beta and allowing others to see just how dialed in and this information is to who we are and what we are to become and how we all connect with each other. And in this numerology, it's very interesting because it's about 3,000 or 4,000 years old. Actually, it's probably as old as the realization of this particular realm that we're in. But what it states is that there is a sequence to even the days of the week, and that is based on the numbers. And this is the connection between math being a cognate of the word ma'at. So that's math, M-A-T-H, and then ma'at, M-A-A-T. These two words are actually have roots within each other, and it just means that the true and highest laws of wisdom are exact, like math. And in that, we actually find numerology, which many think are not logic, just logic. You know, logic is seen sometimes as masculine, but in fact, logic is used also by the feminine force and the androgynous forces alike in order to create things perfectly. It's just like within math that if you have one number then the whole equation is off. So too, that is how the reality of manifestation works. And this is why only few can perfectly manifest the things that they want. And in order to get better at that, then you have to actually pay attention to the numerical sequences, which is a language that is going on around you at all times. And then also how to dial in, or i.e. invoke or evoke, the type of energies that are needed to create the proper formulas in the space that you're in. Some may say, well, what are you talking about? What is this all about? What I'm talking about is that each number is actually a symbol. And the lowest form of use of numbers is to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, counting money, counting people, counting times, which was always seen as taboo in the ancient cultures, even to count your cows and to count your sheep. You would just always look for the abundance, so you wouldn't want a specific number. So numbers were never used for counting. Numbers are actually archetypes that actually evoke specific sequences to allow us to get prepared and be aware of how forms are put into place. So it just so happens that on Earth, we have a specific sequence, and that sequence actually corresponds to the days of the week. And so I will go through that sequence with you very briefly as we're getting prepared. We first give honor to the number 0, which shouldn't even be mentioned, but is in itself a cipher or a placeholder. It is in itself the portal and the gate to what is beyond, what is unexplainable, what is unknown, what doesn't have an address, what doesn't have a zip code or a latitude and a longitude, what hasn't been marked or claimed. This is exactly what the 0 stands for, and we always give reverence to that because that is the point of unlimited energy, as they say, 0 point. It is the point where we can allow our consciousness to go into a space where we feel that we're connected with everything. We know that we're greater than the sum total of all things when we believe and know and act that all is self, and act out that all is self. So giving a moment for the 0, we then move first into the 1, which actually corresponds to our day Sunday. 1 itself is a synthesis of all things. It's just like when we are born, we actually contain everything, just like a seed contains everything, but it is now time for it to unpack. But in that moment, in its focus, it produces a great amount of intensity and energy and gives us light into what is to come. And that is number 1. That is our Sunday. And following up our Sunday, we do have our Monday, which is actually the number 2. The number 2 is actually symbolic for all forms of dualistic components. This is light. This is dark. This is black. This is white. This is up. This is down. This is all forms of dualistic components. This is male, this is female. And the purpose of this sequence in the creation is to begin the first part of the breakdown. We see the sun as being in itself potent, but the moon is responsible for breaking down the sun's energy. The moon itself has 2 receptacles. You can say a masculine and a feminine component. And with these receptacles, it is allowed to break down or give child to all of those waiting to receive. So very simply, the womb, when you're in the womb, your mother, in this case, is consuming food and her body breaks it down in order to give it to you. So this means that the sun in its potency wouldn't even be comprehensible for most beings if it wasn't for the moon, which actually breaks down that and actually projects and sprays the reality that we're looking at. It breaks it down into the spectrum. This is why many have seen that the auspicious size of the moon and the earth and the sun all equate to perfect mathematics or ma'at, showing you that there is purpose in this design. And that purpose is to take us through a lesson in the university. And there we have the number 2. And then immediately, for those who thought it'd be 1, 2, 3, it is not. It is actually much more esoteric. This is arcane knowledge. The next number is 9. 9 is actually our day Tuesday. It actually corresponds to the planet Mars, and it is a protector. And this actually shows us very directly how it is in which we should design. First, being aware of the synthesis that we contain all things. There is no reason to be depressed. It's going to happen. Then 2, beginning to break that down so that way we can actually consume it. Break it down into proper morsels so we can begin the communion. And then 9, put protection around it. This is akin to the shell on the outside of the egg or the cherubim spinning around the garden, protecting it during the time in which it should develop. Remember, the womb is the number 2, and in that phase, it needs that protection, the amniotic fluid, mother's belly, etc., in order for it not to be jarred or confused while it's going through its growth, or else it would be premature. So 9 is our protector. And then after the protection is complete, we now move to the number 5, which actually gives us our day Wednesday, which corresponds to the planet Mercury, which is the correspondence to all languages, math, all of what you're actually seeing on the physical reality within creation, as you know, of the being Thoth, that all of this is a cognate of what gets us going in the physical reality. What do we do with this first level of breakdown? We create languages. We begin to learn. We begin to explore. And we go here and there. Many times Mercury is a correspondence of speed, because you would be amazed at how fast we are learning and picking up things. Even right now, you are picking up the projection of this reality so fast that you cannot even see that you're doing it. If you were for one moment to stop this process, which is done in the meditation and slowing down the heart and the breath, you would watch this entire reality pixelate. You would see the floor disappear underneath you as you wouldn't be able to phase in to this day and this time. And this is why Mercury is the power of going and coming, the messenger itself, bringing the awareness of the existence of this reality and where you are in this particular reality. And then following that up, we have the number 3, which corresponds to Thursday, which is, of course, the planet Jupiter. This is a big gas giant. This is the abundance. This is the joy of abundance. This is the master teacher, guru, how to actually contain many things, but still be happy. Aren't we all searching for not only having our possessions and the things that we care so much about, but also being in an infinite gratitude and being in happiness with what we have received? This is rare, and it is seen that only master teachers can show us the way to how to do this. And indeed, learning that being large and being the foundation is something to be in joy and to be in happiness about. And as we keep moving, we then move to the number 6. This is, of course, Friday, Freya. This is Venus. This is all the love. This is the young maiden herself. As we see replete in the sky, Venus trace out the pentagram with the concave edges. And for those that are confused and may think this is just an occult symbol related to darkness, let us see the light of the flowers and the papayas and all of the things that are created on the planetary system, all bearing this pentagram shape. And seeing the abundance and its ability, like Phi, which is also a cognate of it, to continuously produce and replicate without end, to produce even variations of the same thing that look different, but all come from the same thing. And as we close the circle, we end with 8, which corresponds to our planet Saturn, which is our day Saturday, which is the boundary or the ruler, What keeps things in check as the seeds are growing and learning who they are? There must be a firm force there in order to keep us straight and in line, and also be able to persevere through time with us. Saturn is again known for all of the things that take a long time to develop. This could be the crystals and the gems in the ground. This could be wealth in itself. This is also knowledge and wisdom. And at this point, we have the sequence 1, 2, 9, 5, 3, 6, 8, which equals 34. And 3 plus 4 equals 7, giving us 7 days of the week. This is perfect, Ma'at. And this is how we come to bear witness to this existence and come to bear witness in our creation of who we are and how special we are to be a part of such a beautiful creation. If you do not see the beauty in the reality, I actually encourage you to get out of your little city or town or whatever. Go as far as you can away from things that are made by the hands of man and step first into nature or the Netaru, and then see once again what is really around you. Spend the time, sit down, take a few breaths, absorb, witness your ancestors in a multitude of forms of creation as they use these forms of manifestation and projection like we use PlayStation and Xbox and computers, bringing in the graphics of our imagination, except it is in every tense much more beautiful in a greater definition beyond 3D. Hyperdimensional. And let us also accept this quantum realm of existence that we're walking into, as we know that the knowledge of the qubit states that it is a 0 and a 1 operating at the same time. This takes us beyond binary. We've seen that as actually recognizing the power of non-judgment and the power of total communion with all being self. And so in this time, in stating that, I've dialed in the space. Again, 1295368, that is a telephone number of this particular planetary systems. And doubt it not, there are other spaces that run on different sequences where things are slightly different, but all coming from the same thing. And this is the parallel realities that we exist in. And this is the connection that we all share. And so as we begin to branch out into this connection, it's very important for us to see that we are the creators. We do not generally ask permission to create children. We do not generally ask permission to create ideas. We do not ask for permission to create even our businesses at times. So why do we ask for permission to pioneer and level up our spiritual growth and existence and come to a greater level of awareness based on all of the knowledge and the wisdom and examples that we've received thus far, with us ourselves acting as a component to a gigantic machination of awareness that, like DNA, is absorbing every part of the experience, indeed recording every single part of the experience and adding that in all variations, since we all have uniqueness, adding that to the total field of collective knowledge. And to access that field of collective knowledge, to get that pass into that system, you only need to realize who you are, which is a being of no limitation.